It is
very,
very
beautiful
Yes.
space. So how did you end up on the Central Coast? Let's give us how long you've been here and who's your family? Who you living with?
We're nearly actually at 2 years exactly on the Central Coast. And
so that means I can welcome you.
Yes. I know, and like in this house, it's about 1.5 years. So it took us 3 years to build, which was a mission. And we couldn't have been like more ready to come up from Sydney. So we were living in Clovelly in the eastern suburbs. And yeah, we came up, looked around for land, found this, looked out around and went, wow, this is our life. So it felt right straight away and has been incredible.
You've been like a whirlwind on the coast. It's like anyone that comes into contact with you just,
With you as a person or your Instagram or your Facebook.
Okay, these
That's
two.
like,
Stop it right now.
if you follow Georgie, you'll see like,
I love you.
Yeah.
Greg does get stopped in, the grocery store or whatever. And it's always, and it's just like, you're Georgie's husband. And it's like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. So yes, it has been amazing. I've never felt like community like this. So, and sometimes my friends talk about moving away from Sydney or whatever. Of course, Sydney's great, and I kind of generally just say, I don't think you'll regret it. I don't think that'll be a regret. But
wow. But you've been always close to the water then, right?
Yes,
Valley and
love the
coming here.
water. Love the water. Grew up in Lane Cove and went to the water every chance I got. So, and as soon as I had my L's, my P's, I was like over to the water. So yeah, the
and
water.
Dragon boat racing. Tell us about that. That's very
Right,
interesting.
so beautiful. So when I was 19, I was working in a pub and some guy walked in with big shoulders and was like, I think you should come down and paddle with our team.
What an interesting
And I thought, sure. And I was pretty sporty always, but dragon boating was like, it was funny. It's kind of your chance as an adult to be an athlete in a way, because it is that sport that allows. It's a different age range. A lot of athletes, they're done by 21, but I was sort of starting, and my peak was probably 24. I can't remember the years exactly, but I was paddled for Australia, paddled for New South Wales for many years, and just paddled with my team. And it was full on. It was like 26 hours on the water a week. It was at least 76 hours. Yes, and that's sort of your resistance, because you're on one side.
Yeah.
So that's your resistance, and then otherwise, just keeping fit for racing. And off season, we were still on the water, and it was pretty full on.
So for those who don't know you yet, I mean, I just love the diversity of the stuff you're doing. Like, I've been training with you in your boot camp. We're just like really pushing everybody to their limits and to their individual limits. What I love, it's just like you push someone a little bit further there and a little bit less here, whatever their individual. So you, in a whole group, you figure that one out. But then you're also doing yin yoga, which is like the complete opposite.
So important. So it's funny. It's almost like that kind of sums up me or my life and my journey is the yin yang. So the more, really strong stuff, and then slowing down and figuring out who you are a little more each time, and healing, and so that softer side, and the softer side is like so important and so liberating to kind of start looking into, and it welcomes other people so beautifully. So that for me is really important. And then of course the fitness side and strength is like this other importance, and you can imagine you'll have people who have never done anything like that before, and all of a sudden they're kind of lighting up in this other feeling of them, and that helps them heal in a different way. So healing, it seems to be about, for me, healing in both areas, and I'm so lucky to be able to do that and do it in two different ways with really diverse groups and people, and it's just like lights me up. It's the best thing ever.
So what does the strength word, like the boot camp word, mean to you personally?
To me, that's an interesting question.
And there was no preparation.
Yeah. God, no.
Putting you on the spot.
Maybe for me, that's probably my first kind of interaction with being able to be so present, because when I'm moving my body and connecting with it, I do it with ease, and for me that brings, just a presence that I don't have to, like, I'm not sitting there thinking about it and meditating and thinking about if I'm doing it right, it just kind of occurs. And one time when I was studying yoga in Sydney to be a teacher, it was about 8 years ago, and we were in a big group situation, and I'm not good at public speaking, I hate it.
The Facebook Live is cool.
I'm terrible. This is good. You guys are my mates, I've trained you, I've yoga you. But they said something about, they were describing meditation for like 3 hours and what it's all about, and I can't remember the details now, but it was sort of opening up our eyes in this amazing way. And just talking about, different ways of doing it, etc. And in the way that she was explaining, this beautiful teacher, the first thing that came to mind was this race that I was in, and how it was like a meditative state for, let's say, it was a 250 metre race, and it was like connecting totally with the body, with the moment, with the, I can't even explain it, like no other thoughts, and I'm sure everyone has experienced that, but I just connected with it straight away, and it had been many years before, but so physically I think the strength and the movement and stuff is what keeps me like going and surviving, like in some ways, like it's helped me get through so much, and it continues to, so that movement is really vital for me, and I believe in it, so teaching others and getting them involved is, like I'm passionate about it, and I see it works, it's brilliant, it's a good feeling, it's all a really positive thing. So I guess that's what it means to me. I mean, I'm very non-linear, sorry about that.
No, that's cool.
But
I love those extremes.
Yes.
And it was interesting when I came to your first, like for me, the first in class that I participated, like Sue always said, like, oh my gosh, Georgie is like incredible. She can like really sink into each individual side, and just being in a yin class with you is just like, whoa, it's a completely different. Exactly, it's so beautiful. You really embody each way of working.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
like
so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have such a balance about you, and I know that you seek balance, but you seem to do that through your life, through our eyes, with your movements and your yin class, which is what I've experienced. I haven't experienced any other of your classes. But what is your inspiration? Because the way you do your yin is...
Oh, you're so gorgeous.
It comes from a very deep soul.
Yeah.
The words that flow, it's such an encouraging, uplifting class. What's your inspiration? Because it really taps
put
into
that on a
heart.
testimony. That's so gorgeous of you to say.
Hang on, before you answer, everybody, like literally the sanctuary, that's where you're teaching.
At Nissan the sanctuary.
Yes, exactly. Thursday mornings.
Thursday morning.
And there's other classes you do.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe go to other classes because that's already
It's
pretty
just our
good.
class.
Exactly. Just some designer.
Actually don't.
No,
put it booked out.
I'm actually happy if it's booked out. Just book in earlier next time.
I think so. In preparing a class, I do like to prepare a theme, etc. But often, actually, that can get thrown out the window depending on who's walked in. So I really, something that's really important to me is who I'm teaching, connecting with them, knowing whatever they kind of feel like letting me in to know, so there's no push. I don't know. I think it's just about people. So, for example, I'll try to explain it because there's so much wrapped up in it. But if I'm sitting at the front of the class and if I'm kind of talking through a theme or quoting something or expressing something that I want to sink in, because you're in yin, if you don't know about yin, you're sinking into a posture for 5 minutes, let's say, on average, and you're staying, there's way more to it, but you're staying as still as possible. The idea is that it's opening up your fascia, hydrating through your connective tissue. There's way more to it.
And it can be quite painful.
And it can be, the stress.
And
like
emotional.
and your tendons, ligaments, joint capsules are all sort of, there's this movement and change and shift, and often, obviously, that can move and change and shift emotions because it's all connected. And I'll sort of lightly introduce that too, because some people are quite, they never thought about that part of it, but often they'll feel it, so it becomes quite real straight away. You may walk into a class and have no emotional attachment to any of it, and it's very physical, or just a mixture, or the other way. But I'm just sort of, I feel like I'm pretty in love with everybody in the room, and I'm really there to give you an experience that feels a bit like when you walk out, you've had, almost a massage of your body, your tendons, your muscles, and a quietening. And for me, it's so important to quieten down and slow down. And if I don't, it's a pretty unbalanced.
Because I think you're getting everyone in that beta state, so they're in that really relaxed state, and by the words that flow over you, you can really relate and hear them.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so I think that's how you want it.
I think that by me being, I like to be open about either who I am or what I'm going through at a particular time, and sometimes that's not a totally relevant thing to be bringing up as a teacher, but it's, you let people into, that's just how I operate, and I feel like they let me in. And if I'm sitting there in a class and talking to you about something, I know that, obviously not saying kind of any names, or even these can be examples, that this person lost their husband 6 months ago, this person is going through a divorce, this person's single and thinking they will be forever. I know these things about them, and I just see them as these beautiful, incredible people who I want to have the best hour and 15 minutes of their day, and then for that to carry on into their day and their life. And for me, that's the most joyful, incredible thing that I can be doing in my life and with my day.
And what I like what you just said is that you see them as they are.
Yeah.
Also in your boot camp, it's everybody is whoa, you just did this incredible 5 push-ups. And you celebrate those 5 push-ups as much as you celebrate for someone else their 1 push-up, because you always see this potential in them, their individual potential and their individual next step. That's what I just so admire about you. It's really this deep love and deep connection with everybody else.
That's nice. I love that you guys see that, because I feel it with you. I see you and I'm it's just love, sort of. So it's pretty important, pretty incredible way to be kind of moving through your day. And of course, it's not always full of love and just chilling. That is not me. I have funny, I'll be listening to a podcast about being present, and I'm walking along with my 3-year-old who's begging for me to be present again. And I'm hold on, this is really important. And it's just, and I go, wow, the irony, and I see it in the moment at least. I'm getting better at noticing those moments, and I think, constantly, just bettering myself in that way, and that is something I strive to do, is to be better at everything, be a better mum, wife, friend, daughter, and teacher. Oh my God, so that's huge.
When did you start being a teacher?
I started when I must have been about 21 as far as personal trainer.
Okay,
yeah. I was studying
together with the dragon board.
Yes, all of it together. I managed to do 26 hours of water and study. I was not great at uni. That was teaching Japanese was my degree.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How could that happen?
Yeah.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Dragon boat, Japanese.
No, that's Chinese.
No,
Yeah.
there's a bit of a
Totally.
different.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. My older sister, who's 10 years old nearly, studied Japanese, so she might have influenced my kind of lean towards it. Middle sister as well, but then she went on to speak Chinese. We all speak languages. Japanese I read and write better than I speak now, because you don't really lose that, but speaking I have to be in Japan. And I loved it, but I wasn't a good uni student. And that's a really different part of my life that you guys don't. I have talked to Sue also about, but so I was working in a pub, and we would finish work, we'd drink and drink and drink, we'd go out, we'd do nasty things I don't think I can talk about online. And it was horrific. It was so unfulfilling.
You were young and free.
Yeah, but it was really unfulfilling stuff, and like it took me, and it made, I was really depressed doing all that, so it took me a long time to figure that out, that this wasn't
So what took you out
helping
of
me.
that? What was the trigger?
What was the trigger?
What was the shift?
Well, getting more into dragon boating and becoming, so it was actually, I kind of got this, there was this image of me as, title for myself in a way, which seemed really important. So it was like validation, because that's all the drinking was doing, and all that stuff was seeking validation and approval. So with the dragon boating, it kind of shifted into that, because I became very good at it, and then noticeably good, and then the best kind of in this, that sounds crazy, but there was a time where I was time trialing the best. So they would, and then that put pressure on, but it was healthy kind of pressure, I guess. And
Definitely brought you out of party, I guess.
Yeah, and then that also became this big thing that I was relying on, that was sort of just me, and that was my identity, and so crashed and burned there when it was, when I realised there's way more to me than this. So it was a journey that, I guess we all go through, but just in different ways. But yeah, there are you can see the triggers.
Yes. And you were training at the same time, because you were training others too in professional sport as well?
Yep.
So you were doing that as well?
Training athletes, training rowing teams at the rowing teams were like Joey's boys, but amazing rowers.
Yeah.
Training, and then always training general public from the start. I started with I worked in childcare, and I started with the kids' parents in Blackman Park on my street. And the mums on Tuesday, the dads on Thursday. That was gorgeous. And I love that I'm
You got the whole family.
I did, yeah.
Amazing.
It was. So that was and that really kind of gave me a lot of meaning too. So even though I had all this other loose times going on, I was sort of making my way into figuring it out, which of course I still am, but it's more that, into healthier habits that are just more true to me and what I'm about. And what
what are healthy habits for you? So for our viewers, what are some great healthy habits that you can sink in and balance? Balance.
So they're both are based around food and movement. For me, the biggest ones. Move every day. As far as a pretty intense training session, I would do 2 a week. Some people might argue that if they see me in the gym and go, that looks pretty intense. 4 days
Just a different level.
We'll cardboard it down there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm running that, not doing it. I'd never do it. No, I don't. Moving every day, and I think walking. And this is sort of a new discovery for me, and I know, so if I've done a kind of workout in the day, and it could be 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and just getting everything moving really well and just feeling so good, so that's a huge thing. And then a walk as well, and with Paddy, normally always with Paddy, so it's at his pace as well, which is beautiful, and I'm finding that, amazing, and I aim to do that 5 times a week at least. Food, movement is kind of what feels good for you, and what's what you're capable of, and what's not too tricky to fit in or so kind of out there that you're just not going to do it. Don't procrastinate it. So make the movement easy. 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 sit-ups, a 10-meter run, repeat 4 times. That is an awesome movement. And yes, I would step that up myself, but I think that would be incredible for people to give a go.
Good start.
One thing I really like is that you just said going for a walk with your little one as well, because I just heard stats that kids are barely moving nowadays. Dad's driving them back forth. Because exactly. Everybody is so busy, and I think that just taking that time out as well, and allowing our children to just move. Who love moving usually.
Totally.
I think that's.
And I'd be putting a little hashtag there if it was at Sunny Coast, because compared to Sydney in that way, we do have time, and I'm busy. but I have time. And the community and connecting up here is so different because people want to listen to you and I want to listen to them, and we have time to actually hear a bit more. So up here is, and the difference for me is that's 31 years in Sydney, 2 years on the coast, and so it's noticeable, it's there, it's really, and it's not, I'm not trying to judge any other area, or you know what I mean, but for me that was incredible. And you do notice it, people come to a country town and I know, and they say, oh wow, that person was so friendly, and it's but the reason they're friendly, because you can say hi and not know someone's friendly, it's because you had more of a conversation, so you have more time, so the walking and the time, and we actually do it, and Greg commutes to Sydney and we walk in the afternoon together as a family.
So where would you walk?
Down, up around the estate, or up over in the bush.
Beautiful.
Yeah, either one.
Beautiful.
This is the easy option because we just walk out the door and we're kind of in the bush, but
Yeah, and there's bush like here.
Yeah.
So going back to the food.
Yes,
Food. Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry. No. I know. So food. Water is huge. I know that's not food, but it's
that is
intake. Yeah. So water. I drink about 3 liters a day.
Sweet.
Often lately a lot more. Like I've just been wanting more, but otherwise, that's pretty good to go by. And I do find that helps with lots of things, like whether how hungry you are. Anyway, water. Sorry, moving on. Food. Water's good. And apple cider vinegar, of course. I have that before dinner, but that really helps with digestion for me. But the morning is great as well. But that's just my routine. So
Do you like the taste?
I love it.
Me too.
Yeah, and
Apparently there's something.
I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
With a little bit of water, ice, and one of my stainless steel straws.
So it's full of like a little mini tonic.
Greg makes it for me every night at the bench.
Wow.
It's beautiful. He's like, I know this makes you happy. And what else? So I know those were 2 waters. It's like I'm on a liquid diet here. And then food is key. So for me to continue doing my work, to have a clear head, to physically be capable of continuing on through the day. And it's all, I don't know if you want specific foods. It's obviously healthy food, it's fresh food. I'm always excited about the food I'm about to eat. I don't eat as mindfully as I should. It's a pretty quick eat, especially on work days. Work days I kind of minimalise it because it's I'm moving so much that it's but I have 3 full-on work days. So my Friday to Monday is about eating in a way, like I'm really fueling well, and I love it. And it's all my husband cooks for me, Greggy, every night,
and plays music at the same time.
Sometimes, always on the speaker. Occasionally brings some clarity. And then what was the other thing? My lunch and breakfast I get excited about too because it's like I'm vegan through the day, and then whatever meal he cooks I eat, and it's beautiful. But I love to be in charge of kind of what these healthy snacks here, if I even need a snack, and then just really nutritious, awesome meals, and it makes me happy.
And I think you get the straight feedback. I mean, with the amount of workout you do, you really get straight feedback. Oh, that was good. That wasn't good.
Definitely.
And I guess it's changing. Through the day.
And you're aware of it all. You're kind of aware of it all day. So even if I'm not moving too much, I'm with a client and I'm like not spotting them so much, but I'm with them and I'm sort of close to them as well, and I'll notice if something's a bit bad in my tummy, that will affect me. So I kind of am really aware of it. But that changes, but that's always interesting. And I just love food. My mum was an amazing cook, and then I just married Greg and moved in.
You can cook? Awesome.
So food and just fresh, obviously, and as organic as we can. And I avoid dairy, sugar, and gluten as much as I can because they make me feel sluggish. And having said that, my dairy and my coffee in the morning is like a good starter for me, and so I'm kind of sticking with it. But the other ingredients and stuff make me feel sad and sluggish and like all like really like quite, and I'll notice if yeah, it is
Interesting.
and puffy and you know pimply or whatever, like there's reactions that come straight away with it. So yeah, just what I avoid, and I'm like always looking to you two for food advice, ingredients, like pretty much everything you have to say about food. So and that's what I found amazing on the coast is that wasn't any. This is the posh eastern suburbs with every organic cafe known to man. There wasn't that like I don't know if I can say knowledge, but to me there wasn't. We weren't having those conversations. So I've had them up here more. I've learned way more. I feel like I can continue to do things and be better at all this stuff and eating and sourcing stuff every week, every day, like by reading and connecting with people up here. So, and people in Sydney are often surprised by that pleasantly and like kind of want to know more. And I'm like, yeah, my neighbour, call you a neighbour, you're pretty close, brings me my brings me my almond milk, and my client brings me her chook's eggs, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and we actually have farmers here.
Yeah.
And when I moved to the Central Coast, I was really afraid that I wouldn't get any good food.
Yeah.
I was so positively surprised.
Yeah. And people will say that, like, yes, there are cafes that you're not going to get one meal off the menu for sure. But you know, like I know everywhere to go to get that if you are getting it out. Otherwise, go to your neighbours, get that. Go to Gossip Markets, go to, or wherever you're going.
What's your favourite restaurant? Maybe your favourite top
Yes, on the coast.
On the coast.
Favourite eatery, or can you name a few?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We eat here so often.
I love that. Where do you love
Sue's house?
Eat you around again.
Yeah, definitely home.
Yeah.
Definitely home is always my favourite meal. Lords of Poor on the Saturday, Sunday, if they have like a big salad bowl, is delicious in Edelong. And then, like that's the option I'm going for, because I guess everywhere has different, options. And soul food, woi. Soul food, woi, you can't go wrong. Yeah.
Plus you get organic food.
So that every meal in there is like, I do come to home with like $9.50 loaves of bread, and Greg's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know.
But it was good.
I love it. Everything there, and I'm excited that they're local. Love and Tonic, which is in Terrible, amazing, and I know Gabby well, the owner. Yeah, have you been there? Okay.
No,
that's your next
Terrible.
Yeah. Love and Tonic. Yeah, and then like I love to go to George's Fruit Barn just to walk around it.
Yes.
Okay.
Things like that.
And Nurtured Earth, need to go there today. Get my little veggie stock and my apple cider vinegar.
They do shop.
Do they have a little drop-in?
My most favourite place, and it's because actually I don't even see them as a cafe. They're like is Everything But the Kitchen Sink, and they're in Saratoga, and really there's like no other place. I was kind of going local because we're all local, and then I started branching out. So I don't know if Georgie is listening or everyone. The cafe in Saratoga is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just off going down to Davistown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not far down.
That's not far.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
it's all about community, and it's almost more about what the place is about, and the food is incredible. And you can just make your own this and that, but and they come out and they pick it out of their garden.
I love those places. Yeah.
There's so many of those places.
So there were a few. I'm like, I eat at home, but the sink feeds me through the week for lunches. I take and it's a $10 lunchbox, which is
perfect.
pretty great. Yeah.
That's where I saw it. You posted that.
Yeah.
I was like ringing a bell.
Yeah.
So where's your favourite place that you like to go and just be quiet and with either yourself or your family, or if you bring up friends from Sydney, somewhere special that you like to show them?
The beach, but somewhere special because the beach is the beach and we'll always go there. But it would be Elephant Rock, which is up and around, and I always say it's a 5-minute drive to the most magical place.
Yes.
Just up around Trig, like that whole walk. I just love doing bushwalks and stuff with.
You can even do a bushwalk just up
here. So our land, that's our land, but just goes up onto the short track.
Beautiful.
Which our neighbour will let us know if he's going at 5 in the morning because he's in our yard with torches. It's like, if you think, something's going on. So yeah, he'll
Nobody
go
will
up.
forget, it's just me.
So that's, beautiful. And that, otherwise my bed in the day is sometimes amazing, and I do shut the curtains. It's like weird that I want that darkness.
Yeah.
And just sit there, and that's the silence. And again, when I say in the day, Patty would be here, so on those days where I can do it. So it's sort of, I have that little time out, and with it, there's a number of things I might do. So meditate, make videos, my favourite thing, read, or just sit and kind of have not a lot going on at all. Yeah.
I want you to tell us about why you started car combos.
Oh,
what is the thing behind that? Because that's just something new that you started.
It's very new,
It's reaching some really good topics that I think people sort of avoid, but it's bringing up some things.
Yeah, so Car Combos is about, I kind of wrote it down because it was like, what is this about? You know what I mean? Is about sort of getting in touch with that raw, uncensored version of yourself, and how I do that for, say, the viewers or whoever, is by doing it myself. So getting in touch with that and just having this kind of really, uncensored conversation about things.
With yourself.
With myself in the car.
I do that all the time.
I love that.
I love it.
Hey. Today we're talking about, something as simple, well, not simple, but periods, like just a random topic. And then now, today we're talking about domestic violence, like much heavier. So it's sort of really, but I guess that's life.
Yeah.
And going back to your diversity.
There's periods, there's domestic violence, and it's like all these things, to be talked about. So it felt like, I felt like I had some things to say. And I feel like, that whole, you've got to feel it to heal it kind of idea. I feel like if it's helping anyone else heal, to hear about my healing or these, topics that we cover.
You hear them spoken about too.
Yeah.
Some topics are taboo, or you don't talk about, or you might not share about it, and it's just nice to hear someone else's version. And then 1 week I got 200 private messages, and I was so overwhelmed with gratitude and joy, and kind of like, wow, this seems, this is something that I'm doing for a reason. I mean, I'm really comfortable about just having started up. So I don't know, trauma, the topics of trauma are just what trauma involves. I think is amazing and really connects people, and in some ways connects everyone, because most people have been through trauma, or at least know somebody, so that it's not a topic that we're not familiar with. And then so, and that just seems like, and I think my job inspires that too, is that I know these things about a lot of people, and then it's, to me, I want to know, and I want to help myself and others heal and find that place and be comfortable with having the conversation and opening up a dialogue, and a non-judgmental space and holding space. And I can only do my best with that. Like, people will either resonate with it or not. So it's not about the size of the audience or who's into it or not. It's just something that feels right for me.
Some people that we interview are really like, ooh, it's on Facebook Live. But you're just like, it's Facebook Live, yay! You even do car combos. I mean, you just talk about really deep stuff just on live. Just posted out, done. Do you have any secrets? Or is it just natural to you? Like, how would you, if someone is kind of pondering about this, I have this message to share, but I don't know how.
So the question to me is, do I have any secrets?
Maybe first start with what brought you onto I use this, and I guess you're just an feel comfortable in front of
Yeah, yeah.
But what would you maybe even
Do you know
recommend
what?
someone?
No, that's interesting. So, I feel like I don't want to answer the question not right. Feel like I want to understand it. But when last year, and this is just relevant because it kind of is what my answer is. I had a miscarriage, and interestingly, after sharing that post about what went on, which I did, it was just a photo and a big piece of writing. The response from that, there was something about it, and there was also something what you go through with a miscarriage, and that's a whole nother story. But there was something for me that just seemed to shift into this my perspective, like this sense of gratitude for what I had, rather than what I just lost. And yeah, it was I think it was quite transformational in that I suddenly just sat up in my car, quite literally, and was like, I have some things to say. I'm an emotional person. There's a quote, let love in, be who you are, be too much. And I love having it's like, don't worry about being too much, be too much, care too much.
Yeah.
And I sort of thought, yeah, like this would be too much for some people. I mean, social media, you'll get all the judgment, really. Thankfully, I don't, but I'm sure there are people going, wow. But that's okay, I need to kind of let that side of things go. So for me, it just was this shift in saying, I have all these things to say that I say to people in real life, and that I always have these open conversations with. There's no, I get called an oversharer. There is not really any filter. There's definitely, there's still things to share on car combos, but obviously, there's not, I don't have secrets.
I think you just shared a massive secret. It's the potential of what you have and what you get compared to the risk of what you could lose.
Yeah.
Focus on what you already have.
Or what you have.
And not being afraid of what you might lose.
Yeah.
Especially by sharing who you are.
Yeah.
And as you also said, it's like that's at least what I heard, is you would have these conversations otherwise. So you would talk about that stuff with some friends as well, and it's
always.
even though you do it in front of the camera.
Yeah.
It's not the purpose of doing it in front of the camera.
It's like it's a different platform to have
and
that
to
conversation.
Connect with your clients as well, by the
Yeah.
way. Like it's even deeper. Like you expand that experience from being in your class into your social media. Maybe.
Yeah. No,
that was just like
Yeah, I think I agree. With and even I've got 13-year-old clients who are like, oh my god, I love that car combo, and we're talking about some pretty very adult kind of talk. You know what I mean? They're not 13-year-old conversations, but I think that's amazing, and I kind of go, wow, like that's so gorgeous that you anyway, that to me, I thought, wow, this is because I'm not a private account, so it's sort of anyone can. And it's not censored as far as there's a little bit of swearing occasionally, but
and therefore also people get to know you maybe even a bit more before they come into a class, or and they've been to one of your classes and come back.
No, I do sometimes find people that I'm teaching are on there under a name that I may not have recognised, or they don't have a photo of them that I kind of figure out. And the feedback has been, like I said, overwhelming and positive. And sort of like, thank you so much for sharing that. I feel that I don't feel as alone. And
that's
so,
beautiful. Standing up.
There probably couldn't be anything better than having other people not feel alone. So I guess the point is we all have these things to talk about. We all have these stories. We all have our own story, and I feel like I want to share it.
Thank you for that.
Yes, I do.
Next, do you have a dream? Have you got a vision for, say, future Georgie? I don't know, short-term vision or something?
Hang on, for the future Georgie on the Central Coast.
On the Central Coast, please.
That's part of your vision, right?
That you have brewing, some inspiration that's talking to you. Is there anything? I don't know.
Well, no, I love you. I don't know.
Because I just came to that question.
I feel just continuing to do what had so many laughs along the way where we were like, but you are on a beach holiday, like you are living the dream. And like I would say it too, like just I'm working, you know, insane hours, but every one of those hours feels not in the way that I think work can feel. Like it just feels important, great, fulfilling. And so so full for me, like I feel. And I think maybe my dreams, I guess, is to just continue to evolve as a human being, but particularly a parent to Paddy. So keep he's just so important, and of course Greg, and our relationship open and honest and growing continually. So it's pretty simple for me. It's like I know that's not simple either. I know that's like a big beautiful, but Paddy and Greg and our what we have, and that just being the best that it can be. So for all of us to be kind of being our best versions everywhere else. And I get excited about car convos. Like I've got my work, but car convos excites me each week. It's like, you know, this week is it screen time and trauma, like but like the topics excite me. I go, wow, there's this and this, and then I'll research here and I'll listen to opinions here, but really it's always just coming from this very authentic place in me that feels real. And I feel like I don't know, important when I say work in the world, like not exactly my car convos, but just that for me, I'm having that realization. I think it opens me up to people and my sense of self, and just being the best mum and wife and like family member that I can be. So life just keeps getting better.
Beautiful. I guess since you're a writer, because I've written some writings of yours, and I reckon you're a bit of a writer.
I love you.
Do you blog or you're more visual, like video?
No,
Do you write?
I do. I'm like really weirdly blushing, and I've been blushing the whole time. I'm like I think nervous about that, which might be telling me something. So soon.
Yeah. It's the snow. Oh shit.
It's like watch this space.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a few people have said that to me, and I think I'm just kind of overwhelmed. It just seems like such a huge compliment, and that, you know, I know brilliant writers, and I just don't see myself as one of them. So, but yeah, I love that you do,
and the others that have spoken.
Yes.
So there you go. Maybe I know the car combos are much harder and far more, as far as editing goes, just getting that, you know, like. So writing does, I wrote on my weekend away a lot. So writing does feel like something that I love.
Do you have, one of usually Sue's favorite question, do you have a book that you're reading at the moment? Let's start with that one.
Yes, I have Cheryl Strayed. Do you know her, the author? Incredible. People write in like the most horrific events of their life to her, and she answers them back.
Wow.
And you will never have like, you couldn't imagine the letter back. You read the letter and think, what is she going to say? And so that's one book, like mine, which I guess non-fiction. Who's it? What's it called? I'm really bad with titles, but I am reading it. And the other, what's it about? The other one is Bessel Van Kolk, can't say his name, and it's about trauma. And it's heavy and dense and incredible.
Yeah.
And those books kind of excite me. Just dealing with the real stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I think, I think it's there for people to be, you know, opening up to and dealing with. And I don't think it means, I think the big thing to take away from that is I don't think it means that we need to sit around and go, you know, my dad abused my mum and this and this and this, and this is really sad, and listen to this traumatic event, and it's not a sad thing, like we can talk about it and feel really empowered by talking about it and being open about it. And if you recognise these points in you, like recognise them coming up and be present with that feeling and your pain body, as Oprah would call it, it's like you're strengthening your spiritual muscle. Spirituality for me is just living with an open heart and being true to you. And I'm much more in touch with that side of myself since I moved to the coast, which is really cool.
That is a big thing on the Central Coast, isn't it? Like the people, maybe I haven't met the others. But those I meet,
have that same,
and even on the weekend at the Alive Festival, I feel like there is just like more and more like cheering up.
It's what it's about is because people get kind of, it's a funny word or it's a, but to me it's just that exactly what I said, like living with an open heart, being true, and that being what it's about, I think can define it in a different way for people and realise that this is like a spiritual feeling or anyway. And then, from with all that said, I feel like then you actually, that strengthening of that spiritual muscle over time and then coming into these, like realisation of what's going on for you actually brings you this much more, like really engaged with life, full of life and so much joy. So the dealing, addressing the painful parts, your pain body, is something that I feel like I do most days. So in my yin and my yang and my this is the day, that's kind of the underlying thing for me that I feel that I'm working on. And I don't know. Do you guys
it's being grounded. What I hear as well is like this spiritual, which sounds so woo-woo, but you're like such a grounded person in the work you do. You just bring that, you work through it yourself, and then you share it in whatever modality you're working in. Be it in the bootcamp, be it in the yin, be it in the combos. Just different avenues and kind of different ways to just share it.
I think you should be writing this story.
It's beautiful. I think it's really beautiful just listening to you. It's I really What is your vision for the community here? What do you love? I think what you love about, maybe just sum that one up, because you spoke a little bit about what you love about here. Where would you like the community to evolve or shine more? Evolve and shine more. I guess like health and wellness. I mean, that seems like such an obvious answer, but it's like, and becoming that. The community up here is brilliant, but I think we could connect more, and especially I connect a lot with the people on the sort of the other side, like not so much the peninsula. We were talking about that. There for a lot of the day. You're working there mostly, right? So here, I think it'd be amazing to get something happening. Even your minor, like I feel like, well, not even your minor, but just being more, meeting more people, local, connecting more in the way that obviously feels like this organic kind of connection, but happening more in that way. As far as food and even places like to have, say, that whole strip of cafes that just change into more what would you guys call it? I don't know, conscious of
conscious eating. I'd like something to be open in the evening.
Oh, that's what I was just thinking, exactly. That would be good.
That could be
but then we could alternatively just have more dinner parties.
Yes.
Because I love what you said. Exactly. Just like really community, like potluck. Bring whatever you like. Just
maybe that could be our vision.
Maybe. Just putting it out there. If anybody wants to heads it up, let us know.
I love it.
No, that's. Because I love what you said, just like eating more at home, like home cooked, and really knowing the love that you actually infuse into the food as well. Like,
Well, I've eaten both of your stuff that you delivered to my door. I guess it's more about just that kind of open, just a real loving. And again, like I said, up here seems, because there's that time, I feel like it doesn't seem like a far off thing. It actually seems like something that's right there and able to achieve, and again, I think people are open to it, and just health connecting, being who we are, and not judging you know, when I say not judging, I just mean more that like really allowing, I say this as well in yoga, but allow yourself to be yourself. Allow everyone else to be who they are. And I do, every time I say it, I'm like, and then and feel how freeing that is. And I just think that's cool to just respect different people's way of doing things and connect that way, like, and be intrigued by how they're living and let it be empowering, especially when it is something that's like, you know, pretty amazing to see how people, you guys are that for me. Like it inspires me and it empowers me to see people doing what they're doing, like doing great things.
And even sometimes when you see someone and it triggers something within you, just look deeper, like, okay, but there needs to be something. Let me just meet that person just like on a deeper level. Like, who are you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's beautiful through your work, I guess. You just meet such a variety of people across the coast.
I know, I feel like I'll say it, I'm like, I feel like I know the whole Central Coast, which of course I don't, but I do.
Positions.
I am. I'm in that amazing position, and I probably sometimes take it for granted and don't realise that there'll be days where I'll meet 200 people or meet them again because I generally know them from, and that's a lot of energy. So that's where my food, my food and my grounding and my, and you know, people will say, oh, you guys are gorgeous, and see that balance and that I am two things, but some people might think that I'm go
because they don't know the other side,
and also I'm not like living my meditation time or so I do think about that because I'm like, yeah, sure, like, of course you're not seeing that you have these moments, and you know, I'm not living where I'm being a terrible parent
we're not dancing around,
shocking wife, and all those things that are really real. So but you know, I'm happy to talk about that. It's just not my finest moments, those ones. But yeah, so,
and that's being aware, like everybody who's consuming that kind of like Facebook, Instagram, it's like you will never be able to stay like 360.
No,
there is always a person behind that, whatever you see, and even though you say you share, maybe even overshare here and there, there's still a Georgie that is private.
I'm like, I guess so.
And can I ask Chris's question? Well, and you would ask it. You ask it.
What did you have? Yeah, that's true. What did you have to unlearn along your way? Was there something?
Unlearn.
Wow,
yeah, definitely. So,
who's swapping today?
The workman's
unlearning that this was an earlier lesson, but that sadness is okay and feeling down. So learning that it's okay. So unlearning the other opposite of that. So being okay with being down and feeling down, because when that happens, oh shit, what's happening?
I'm not happy. Oh my god, let me change.
This isn't me. And obviously, I mean, I'm talking about how trauma and this and that and being real is there, but I still have that, you know, for me, that can be like quite an overwhelming, wow, I'm not, you know, I'm feeling sad, shit. And that could go for a week and just be like, oh, and it hasn't gone for a week recently, thank God, but yeah, that's being okay with that, welcoming that, knowing that that's probably, you know, important along the way, and like that I'm, learning. And also, this is a bit of a funny one, but I guess it's pretty relevant to what I do, is unlearning that, not being that body image conscious kind of status that was there for me as an athlete, and so when I got pregnant last year, I got this, and you might even see, I've probably done this a few times, but like I'll get this kind of little bits of extra fat that I'm really uncomfortable about, and I mean I put on probably 6 or 7 kilos, but anyway, that's sort of beside the point. It was more about my feeling.
Interesting.
And I think I've learned, I keep learning it or unlearning it. I'll just say learning it. I keep learning it along the way. You know, firstly, A, you're human. B,
that's a really big thing, right? Oh shit, I'm human.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And who who the hell else is thinking about this about you or thinking that this is important? So it's a real thing that, you know, I've placed importance on, but it can get you. Currently, I'm in pretty peak form. I'm not having these feelings, but at the time, I wouldn't even almost not feel comfortable talking about it. There you go. There's a secret me where I'm like, I just feel, you know, not like me, and I'm not strong in this area, and I can't do this, and I feel like a bit of a failure, and I feel like people, my clients, will be a bit like, oh, you know, not inspired if they even are. Let's hope they are. You know, maybe a bit like disappointed in it. So it's this visual and body image stuff, and it kind of has nothing to do with food. I mean, it would if I was to put on weight. It's around food. It's not around exercise.
Not in your case, at least.
But but like it'd be around. So it's an interesting one, a big kind of topic there, because it's I guess maybe what it shows is I'm pretty conscious of my movement and my body and how it operates, and it can operate like that well-oiled machine a lot of the time, and I'm proud of that, and I, you know, love that that's part of my life. But
and that's part of your work as well.
Part of my work, big part. And it's it goes hand in hand. The whole practice what you preach, like it does make a difference. It makes a difference to who's going to approach you as a client and everything else. But I think maybe it's important. Maybe it's something that's interesting for other people to know that we, like as a trainer, when I say we, I'll just speak for me, but as a trainer or a yoga teacher, have those doubts and fears and, you know, quite overwhelming, like almost want to hide moments. And so just learning that in those moments, it'd actually be really powerful for me to step out and maybe talk about it, whether it was in the car convo or to a person in front of me. I'm feeling like this, and this is how I'm feeling here, and maybe I can't do anything about it right now. Like maybe I can, but maybe I feel a bit lost with it. But if I just express that, and perhaps that actually gives you, firstly, some insight into me, but maybe helps you along the way too. So body stuff, and that's again just that I'm human.
On that, and thank you so much for answering that. I love that, like especially like work and who are you, and unlearning things, like especially like the body image, which is so big in today's world. And I would love to just touch back on kind of the vision question a little bit as well. But let's just imagine we go back like 10 years in time.
Yeah.
So you're in your mid-20s.
Wow.
And if you just look from that point back into who you are today, what are the biggest surprises?
Wow. Probably from that age that I don't drink alcohol at all and never will again. Like at that age. I'm
not one of those people.
That's the first one. I'm trying to be, so I would have been 23. I'm trying to be 23 again. That I found a man who was, let's say, the opposite of what I had learnt about what men are, which was, you know, violent, aggressive, irrational, and just unpredictable. So I found a pretty beautifully predictable, caring, loving, let me be who I needed to be. I just, you know, that utter trust in him, and that loved every part of me. So I mean, there's nothing better, surely, than something like that. So thinking, you know, I wouldn't have known that was on the cards, or ever predicted. Took me by surprise, honestly. And then, and what else?
Business-wise? Like then, when you
business-wise,
you would be.
Maybe yoga. Like I probably wouldn't have ever pictured that I'd be holding that.
Oh no, you were like party hard.
I was like party hard, do some chin-ups, party hard, go dragon boating, like
Full
very.
on.
And it wasn't. You know, being an athlete isn't actually a very balanced thing.
Oh.
It's not.
Full
It's a one drive. So I think yoga. The fact that I'm in spaces teaching, and that I, that's my main kind of thoughts apart from my family and just living in general is often around what the next class will be. And it's almost like, when I say putting on a performance, I mean that kind of the anxiety beforehand of just, you want to give the best possible hour and 15 that you can. So that that's kind of constant throughout the week because I teach a lot of classes. So
perfectionist. Perfectionist,
yeah.
Want the best. Yeah, which is a beautiful thing.
Maybe I have to learn that shit. That's a big one, yeah.
But that's exactly what stepping in and just allowing and just say, look, so this is what I'm going through right now. Just being real.
Yeah.
Being real and accepting that we're human. That is like being perfect in our imperfection.
Yeah.
Which I know you do that.
Exactly.
I see that.
But yeah, I do have those perfectionist thoughts, like where that anxiety that is not ideal or thoughts come from is in that planning and like, well, it's got to be good. It's got to be great. And like really, I could walk in unplanned and I'm sure something would still come to deliver to people because I care about it and I care about you in the room and you. And you. So it's like, I think yoga's a big one, and maybe that spiritual side of me and what that actually means. So just to me, it just means that more conscious, more present with who I am, with things around me, and grateful. So to me, that's just that kind of thing.
So to finish off, sadly we've come to our hour's end. It'll probably be a bit over. But is there a favourite quote of yours that you could leave?
Yes. So I've got a lot, but I'll just share this one. I will not.
Remember to.
No. Well, there are, and then some of them I literally have to read. They're a bit long, but this I will not teach or love or show you anything perfectly, but I will always let you see me, and I will always hold sacred the gift of seeing you. That's a biggie.
That is beautiful. Biggie.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you,
Georgie.
Thank you, beautiful women. So
where can people find you?
On social media or in life?
Well, anywhere.
Wherever. How can people get in touch with you and start getting some figures?
You're gorgeous. Social media, I'm just at Way, my last name Georgie, and then my business is at Turnway Fit. Facebook is Way Fit Personal Training. It was like, do we go with Greg's Turner or mine? We kind of went with both. Way Fit Personal Training and Georgie Turnaway and Facey. And then otherwise I'm in the Sanctuary in Kincumber teaching yoga. I'm at Platinum in Erina teaching all of the above, like exercise yoga clients. I'm here in my carport killing people.
She literally does. Especially love that uphill here that we just look at right now while you get that beautiful view outside.
I love it. And where else? Kincumber Mountain every second Tuesday now for yoga, which is stunning because you're out on the mountain in the scenery. And anywhere and everywhere really.
Wherever there is someone dancing in public space, that's Georgia.
In public spaces. I danced before we came in. I was like, I don't know the answer to a question. Can I just dance? I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful women. I'm so blessed. Thank you.
I love you.
Bye. Bye.